I'm going to solve this by completing the square. This method is most attractive when the x squared coefficient is 1 and the x coefficient is even, 10 in this case. And so the first thing I'm going to do is write the x terms on the left and subtract 7 from both sides to get the number on the right. And a lot of books have you memorize a formula, but let's remember what happens. We're trying to write the left side as a binomial squared. And so it's pretty clear that x times x gives me x squared. A binomial squared, if you multiplied it out, is going to have two identical terms that add up to 10x. Well, what are those two terms? It would be 5x plus 5x. And so that tells us that we're going to write plus 5 here as the second term in our binomial. So look at your x term. Half of plus 10 is plus 5. That goes down here. And so what's the remaining term up on this row? We need the term here so that the three terms in this row equal the x plus 5 squared. Well, if you multiply it out, x plus 5 times x plus 5, the last term would be plus 25. So we add 25 to both sides. And so the right side becomes 18. 25 minus 7 is 18. That's the completing the square part of the process. Now we're going to use the square root property. We can say that the left side square root of that side is the square root of the right side plus or minus on the right side. And so the square root of x plus 5 squared we can write in this case as x plus 5 because the right side gives us a plus or minus square root of 18. Now the square root of 18 simplifies, so let's look at what are the factors of 18. It's even, factor out a 2, and get 9, factor out a 3, factor out a 3. So 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. 3 is a factor twice, so we can say x plus 5 is plus or minus square root of 9, square root of 2. So x plus 5 is plus or minus 3 square root of 2. So we've got our radical simplified. Last thing to do is just solve for x and get minus 5 plus or minus 3 square root of 2. So that gives us our two solutions. Negative 5 plus 3 square root of... Oops, that's not a 3. Plus 3 square root of 2. And negative 5 minus 3 square root of 2. So those are our two solutions. I would usually use quadratic formula when my leading coefficient is not 1, but I'll show you how you could still do completing the square. Let's get the x terms together on one side by subtracting 4x from both sides, and subtract 5 from both sides to get the number on the right. I want it to be 1x squared, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3 and get x squared minus 4/3 x equals negative 5/3. My next step is going to be to get a binomial squared on the left side. Easy part, I know it's going to be x times x to give me x squared. Where did the negative 4/3 come from? Negative 4/3 x came from two terms added together, so each of those terms was half of negative 4/3. So that's negative 2/3. So two terms of negative 2/3 x add up to negative 4/3. The third term is going to be negative 2/3 times negative 2/3, which is plus 4/9. So I'm going to add 4/9 to both sides. To combine those fractions on the right side, I make them both have the same denominator, so I multiply 5/3 times 3 over 3. I can do that because 3 over 3 is 1. Okay, left side's just going along from the right. Now it's negative 15/9 plus 4/9. Left side goes along for the right, and I get negative 11/9. Now I'm ready to square root both sides, so the square root of the left side is plus or minus the square root of the right side, giving me x minus 2/3 is plus or minus the square root of negative 11, so it would be negative 1 times the square root of 11 over square root of 9. Let's add 2/3 to both sides. So you get 2/3 plus or minus I, square root of 11, square root of 9 is 3. So you get two answers, 2/3 plus I, square root of 11 over 3, and 2/3 minus I, square root of 11 over 3. And we're done.